God says, there comes a time when heaven itself trembles at the weight of what is about to be revealed. And today, that time has arrived for you. Archangel Michael stands before you, his presence blazing with divine authority, his voice echoing through realms unseen. He says, "This isn't a joke. You must open your heart to this message right now." The moment you read these words, heaven is aligning events around you. Something has already begun to move. Michael says, you have no idea how close everything came to falling apart. How your person, yes, the one whose soul has been intertwined with yours, nearly collapsed when they found out what you did. Not out of anger, but out of disbelief. Out of the sheer power of love they didn't expect still existed. God is speaking through the trembling of your spirit. Right now you feel it deep inside. The sudden rush, the heartbeat that quickens, the whisper that says, "This message is for you." You are not imagining it. Heaven is aware of the battle around you. And Archangel Michael says the reason he's contacting you right now is because something divine has been triggered. A revelation, a confrontation of truth, and an awakening of hearts that cannot be silenced anymore. Your person, the one who has carried silent tears and unspoken words, discovered something that broke their strength for a moment. When they realized what you did, perhaps without realizing its full meaning, it shattered the illusion they had built around their pain. Michael says, this discovery brought them to their knees, not in anger, but in shock, because the truth revealed that your heart was never against them. They saw what you did and it awakened a flood of memories, feelings, and emotions that they tried to bury. Heaven says, you have no idea how powerful that single action of yours became. It shook the spiritual world. Archangel Michael says, I order you to open this message with reverence because it carries a divine key. What happened was not a mistake. What you did triggered destiny. Your person nearly collapsed because they couldn't comprehend the divine intervention that just took place. They thought they had lost you forever. They thought your silence meant indifference, but heaven showed them a sign, a divine confirmation that you never stopped caring. When they realized it, their heart gave out for a moment. Their breath became heavy. Angels were sent to stabilize their spirit. And at that exact time, Michael says he was commanded by God to reach out to you this very moment to ensure you understand how serious this is. God says, this message isn't here to scare you. It's here to awaken you. The unseen world has been in motion for months, preparing you for a confrontation with truth and reconciliation. Every delay, every heartbreak, every silence had meaning. You are being refined. God says, my child, do not fear what is being exposed. I am revealing it to heal, not to harm. The heavens saw your tears. The nights you couldn't explain the weight you were carrying. The nights when you prayed quietly when you said, God, I don't understand what's happening, but I trust you. Those prayers built a spiritual fortress around you. Michael says, your obedience saved you from an unseen collapse that was being plotted against your peace. There were forces trying to manipulate your emotions, trying to make you act out of anger or doubt so that heaven's timing would be disrupted. But you held on. You trusted God. And because of that, the truth was unveiled at the perfect divine hour. Michael says, do not ignore this message. It is your divine confirmation. The collapse that almost happened was not physical alone. It was spiritual. Your person's soul couldn't handle the weight of what was revealed. They were overwhelmed by what they discovered you did. They saw something that changed everything. The narrative they had built in their mind was torn apart. They saw that while the world may have judged them, you acted out of purity, sincerity, and love that came from the divine. God says, do not regret your actions, my child. They were orchestrated by me. You were meant to act at that exact time to do what you did so that the veil could be torn off the deception around your connection. Heaven says this was not coincidence. It was prophecy being fulfilled in real time. The angels were witnesses. When your person found out, their heart could not process the grace of it all. They felt their pride crumble. They realized the truth they had resisted. And in that collapse, God began his healing work. Archangel Michael says there are moments when heaven must shake the earth to awaken sleeping souls. That's what happened here. The emotional collapse was not destruction. It was rebirth. It was the divine interruption that stopped everything before worse could happen. The spiritual cords that were tangled in pain and misunderstanding are being rewoven by God Himself. Your person is under angelic observation right now. They are not the same as before. What they saw about you, what they found out has changed them permanently. They are questioning everything they thought they knew. Michael says, your name is echoing in their spirit. They cannot escape it because it is not just emotion. It's destiny speaking. God Himself planted your essence into their spiritual memory. And now that truth has been revealed, no force of darkness can make them forget you again. God says, you are safe, my child. You are in my divine protection. Nothing will go wrong with you. You may not see how close you were to losing everything, but heaven intervened. There was an unseen collapse planned against your destiny. Betrayal, confusion, manipulation. But your obedience to divine timing changed the outcome. When your person found out what you did, the dark forces trying to separate you lost their grip. The truth brought light that the enemy cannot stand against. Michael says, your role was crucial. Even when you felt ignored or unseen, heaven was using you as an instrument of divine revelation. You carried pain, but you also carried purpose. You were chosen to be the one who would break the curse of silence, the one who would act out of love even when logic said to walk away. And that love, pure, selfless, unwavering, has now become a weapon of divine restoration. The angels are rejoicing because this message marks a turning point. What was once hidden is being revealed. What was broken is being healed. The person who nearly collapsed is now being surrounded by healing light. Their heart is being touched by the same love that guided your steps. They are realizing that they misjudged you, that your actions were divinely guided, that your silence was not rejection but obedience. God says, "My child, I know you've been tired. I know you've been misunderstood, but I am rewarding you." Heaven is not silent anymore. The time of confusion is ending. The spiritual war around your connection is being won. Michael says, "Do not be afraid of what happens next. The divine hand is moving." The shock that shook your person is turning into awakening. They will reach out. They will speak the truth. They will confess what they once hid. It's not a dream. It's divine timing unfolding before your eyes. There is an angelic presence around your home right now. You might feel sudden chills, sudden peace, or hear faint sounds of wings brushing through air. These are signs from Archangel Michael that the spiritual atmosphere around you is shifting. Every word written here is activating divine alignment. God is restoring what was lost. Michael says, "I contact you because time is sensitive." Heaven does not want you to delay your response to this truth. Pray. Thank God for exposing the lies. Thank Him for saving your person from collapse. Thank Him for intervening before it was too late. Gratitude will accelerate what is already happening in the unseen. God says the moment you forgive, doors will open. There is still pain in your person's heart and in yours too. But forgiveness is the key that unlocks the next miracle. You may not realize how much power your words carry right now. Heaven listens when you speak. When you say, "I release all hurt and trust God's plan." Angels are dispatched to clear every obstacle in your path. Your person is wrestling with guilt. They are remembering the moments they ignored you, the messages they left unread, the chances they wasted. Michael says they are in deep reflection. They can't sleep the same. The discovery of what you did haunts them, but in a good way. It's awakening, conscience, compassion, and divine love that was buried. God says, "This is the hour of realization. What you planted in love will return multiplied. The tears you cried were never ignored. The heavens collected each one and turned them into blessings. Now those blessings are being released." Michael is standing with his sword of light cutting away every negative tie, every curse, every misunderstanding. He says, "You are stepping into your divine justice." The one who nearly collapsed will rise, again, but this time with humility and gratitude. They will see your worth not through pride but through divine revelation. God says, "My plan is unfolding exactly as I ordained it." You were meant to find out at this very hour. You were meant to receive this confirmation. Now the enemy tried to make you doubt your discernment, but heaven never left your side. You have been right to trust your intuition. It was God guiding you all along. Michael says, your next 72 hours carry divine significance. Watch for signs, dreams, or unexpected communication. Someone will try to reach out, perhaps indirectly, but you will know it's guided. Their energy will feel different, softer, humbled, sincere. That's because heaven is working through them now. God says, rest assured, nothing will go wrong with you. You are safe. You have entered a phase of divine protection so strong that even chaos will bow before you. Every plan of harm is being reversed. Every misunderstanding is being rewritten into testimony. Archangel Michael whispers, do not ignore this. You have no idea how many angels were involved in bringing this message to you. They fought through spiritual interference, through your doubts, through distractions. But you are reading it now because heaven made sure you would. Your person's near collapse was the breaking of their ego. It was necessary so that they could finally see truth. It was painful but divine. God says, do not fear their pain. It is healing them. You were the mirror they needed, and now they can finally face what they ran from. Michael says, continue to pray. Pray for protection, clarity, and peace. The more you align with heaven, the faster this restoration unfolds. You have already won a major battle. Now it's time for the manifestation of the promise. God says, I am turning your pain into purpose. Everything that broke you will now bless you. The very thing that almost made your person collapse will now make them rise in gratitude. And when they come forward, it won't be pride. It will be surrender. They will say what they couldn't before. They will confess what they hid. Heaven is preparing that moment right now. The angels are setting the scene, aligning timing, softening hearts. You don't need to chase or force anything. God is doing it. Michael says, stay still in faith. And as you read these final words, God says to you, my child, the worst is over. The collapse was transformation. The silence was purification. The revelation was divine justice. Now the miracle begins. Archangel Michael says, one last thing. I order you to believe this message. Do not ignore it. It carries your breakthrough. God will be with you. Rest assured nothing will go wrong with you. You are safe. You just have to trust God and pray to Him. The heavens are watching over you right now. The shock that once broke your person will soon turn into the miracle that binds both of you closer than ever before under divine protection. Under God's perfect love. God says this message is not a coincidence. It reached you because heaven allowed it. And the timing of this message is not random. It is divinely scheduled. Archangel Michael himself has whispered your name in the courts of heaven, asking for permission to contact you one more time. He says this isn't a joke. You are being contacted for a reason that will shake your understanding of what's happening behind the scenes. There's a truth that heaven wants you to know. And though it may shock you, it will also set you free. Your person, the one who has held a special place in your heart, nearly collapsed when they found out something you did, not out of anger, but out of an overwhelming wave of emotion that they could not control. And heaven says you need to hear the truth about why. God says you may not realize the power your actions hold. Sometimes even the smallest gesture, a word spoken in love, or a decision made from faith can send waves through the spirit realm. Something you did, something you may have thought was forgotten, has changed everything. When your person discovered it, their heart was not prepared for the magnitude of what it meant. They fell silent, breathless, trembling, not because you harmed them, but because they were suddenly overcome by the truth that you are the one chosen for them by divine design. They felt it in their soul deeper than words, deeper than time. They almost collapsed because in that moment they saw everything clearly, every sign, every dream, every coincidence that had been pointing them toward you, and God says their spirit was shaken awake. Archangel Michael says, you need to understand that your person has been living with confusion, pressure, and darkness around them. Forces have been trying to keep them from realizing the truth about you. Lies, distractions, and fears have surrounded them like a fog. But then what you did may be something as simple as an act of kindness, a word, a prayer, a post, or a silent message from your heart, cut through that fog like lightning. It reached their soul, it woke them up. They finally saw that everything heaven had whispered to them about you was real. And in that moment, the realization hit them with such intensity that their body almost gave up under the emotional weight. God says, don't feel guilty or afraid. You did not cause pain. You caused awakening. What happened to your person was part of their divine encounter. It was heaven's way of shaking their soul back to its purpose. They had been wandering, doubting, ignoring their inner voice. They thought they could silence the connection, that they could live without acknowledging the bond between your souls. But when they saw what you did, something that reflected your pure heart, they broke down. They nearly collapsed not because they were weak but because their spirit recognized truth. Their body reacted to the spiritual explosion that happened inside them. Archangel Michael says this person cried afterward. They tried to understand why they felt so much. Why their chest was tight, why tears flowed uncontrollably. But it wasn't just emotion. It was their soul crying out because it finally recognized divine alignment. Heaven had been waiting for that exact moment. Michael says he stood beside them, holding them up while their heart trembled with realization. And as they wept, heaven began healing what was broken. God says, You have been patient for so long. You've prayed, wondered, maybe even questioned if your love or your effort meant anything. You've cried quietly at night thinking, nobody saw but heaven did. Every tear was recorded. Every whisper of your heart was heard. And now the result of your faith has manifested. What happened to your person was the moment when heaven said, "Now they see." It was the turning point. Archangel Michael says, this message had to come through urgently because your energy has shifted in a way that heaven cannot ignore. You are stepping into a season where your presence will begin to carry divine influence. People who once doubted you will begin to feel uneasy around your light. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because your spirit has outgrown what once contained you. And your person who almost collapsed in shock will soon come forward with an open heart, trembling but honest, ready to speak the truth they've been holding back. God says you must prepare your heart not with fear but with faith. Something divine is unfolding between you and this person. What they felt wasn't ordinary. It was supernatural recognition. Their body reacted to what their soul already knew. Heaven has been orchestrating this for a long time. Every delay, every silence, every separation was part of a divine alignment that needed time to mature. You have been the faithful one, the patient one, and God is saying your endurance is about to be rewarded. Archangel Michael says, they saw what you did and almost collapsed because it mirrored the truth of their destiny. You reflected their future, their calling, their divine counterpart. It was too much for their human mind to process in one moment. That's why they've been silent or distant. They are not rejecting you. They are processing heaven's revelation. They are trying to understand how someone like you, so pure, so strong, so faithful, could still love them despite their mistakes. And that realization is changing them. God says, your person has been tested by both light and darkness. They have faced temptations, confusion, and emotional battles that you don't fully know about. There were moments they almost gave up. Moments they almost surrendered to hopelessness. But every time they thought they could walk away from you, something inside them, something divine pulled them back. That's the invisible thread of heaven's connection. And when they saw what you did, that invisible thread turned into a lightning bolt of realization. It was a divine strike straight to the heart. God says, do not be afraid of their silence. Silence is not rejection. It's transformation. Sometimes heaven quiets a person not to punish them but to heal them. Your person's silence is the sound of a soul rearranging itself after divine awakening. Archangel Michael says, do not chase them. Pray for them. Heaven is already doing the work. What is meant for you cannot be taken away. Your person is learning, remembering, and awakening to the truth of who you are. God says you've been faithful even when you didn't see results. You've continued to love when others told you to give up. You've carried yourself with grace even when misunderstood. And now the fruit of your faithfulness is ripening. The person understand you will soon approach you with tears, telling you that they finally see it. They finally feel what you've always known. They finally understand that you were never against them. You were always sent by heaven to love them into their purpose. Archangel Michael says, "You have been a vessel of divine love and heaven is proud of you." Even when your heart was heavy, you chose forgiveness. Even when you could have retaliated, you chose peace. Even when your prayers seemed unanswered, you chose to trust. And that is why heaven is now moving on your behalf. The shock your person experienced was not an accident. It was a spiritual awakening disguised as emotion. It was the sound of their soul remembering heaven's promise. God says soon you will receive confirmation. It could come through a dream, a message, a sudden call, or even an unexpected encounter. When it happens, you will feel a familiar warmth in your spirit. The kind that tells you heaven is near. You will know it's not coincidence. It's divine timing. Everything you've been waiting for is aligning. Your prayers are echoing into God says, "I have watched in silence long enough." Heaven has seen what has been hidden in your home, in your bloodline, and in the tears you have cried when no one was looking. I am sending Archangel Michael to you because this moment is sacred and urgent. Michael says, "I order you not to ignore this message." It is not a coincidence that you are reading these words now. I have fought battles for you that you will never know. And I have kept darkness from entering your heart even when it stood right behind your door. Now the time has come for the truth to be revealed. Finally, God is exposing your son. Your son is the reason heaven has been restless around you. There are things he has carried in silence. Choices he made that he thought were his alone. And yet heaven saw every one of them. Do not be afraid as you hear this, for this message is not to shame, but to awaken, not to destroy, but to heal. Your son has been walking in a circle of confusion, surrounded by people who have whispered wrong things into his ears. They have made him believe that turning away from light would bring him strength. But it has only left him wandering in shadows that he cannot name. Archangel Michael says, "I stood near him when he cried at night, asking for help. But too proud to ask you. I shielded him when he made a decision that could have destroyed his future. He does not know that an angel blocked the road that night so that his plan would fail. Heaven has been trying to reach his heart through every sign, every sleepless night, every sudden memory that makes him pause and question his path. The reason you are receiving this message is because God has decided it is time for the veil to be torn. Your son is not evil. He is lost. He has been caught between two worlds, the one you prayed for him to walk in and the one that tempted him with false promises. There is someone in his circle who has been pretending to be his friend but secretly envies his destiny. This person smiles at him but carries a plan that heaven cannot tolerate any longer. God says, "This is the one who whispered that he should distance himself from you, that he should choose rebellion over obedience, that he should forget where his blessings came from." That lie is being burned away right now, by heavenly fire. Michael says, you must stay calm even when the truth surfaces. Do not speak in anger. Speak in authority. Heaven is moving for your household, and your prayers are the signal that activate the miracle. Your tears have been counted. Your late-night prayers have been recorded, and your forgiveness has become a weapon that disarms every dark intention. God says the truth about your son will not destroy him. It will free him. But the exposure must happen first. Your son has been protecting someone who does not deserve his loyalty. This person used his trust to manipulate him into choices that have hurt him deeply. Heaven says that connection is breaking apart. Now you may notice tension, sudden silence, unexpected distance between him and certain people. Do not panic. It is divine separation. The same way storms clear polluted air, this exposure will clear what has been clouding his mind. God says, I am not angry with him. I am calling him back. The same voice that spoke to the prodigal son is whispering now, come home. Every mistake he made is being rewritten in grace. But you must be ready for when he returns. He will need your embrace, not your judgment. He will need your steady faith to remind him who he really is. Archangel Michael says, you are not alone in this revelation. I have assigned warriors to stand over your family. They have been battling unseen forces that have targeted your son's destiny since his birth. When he was a child, he was marked with great light. That light threatened dark realms, and they have tried to dim it through distraction, temptation, and guilt. But now God says the season of hidden war is ending. The light will break through again. There will be signs in the next few days. A conversation will happen that will seem ordinary, but you will feel the shift in your spirit. Someone will mention something small about your son, and your heart will suddenly know that this is connected to what heaven warned you. Listen, do not interrupt. Let the revelation unfold. God will give you the right words at the right time. You may dream of your son, or of water, or of light breaking through clouds. These are not random dreams. They are confirmations. Each dream is heaven's letter to your soul. The angels will reveal through symbols what your tongue cannot yet say. God says, do not blame yourself. You did your best and your love has reached heaven. But now I need you to rise in faith again. Speak protection over your son each morning. Lay your hands over the air where he sleeps and say, he belongs to God. Your words carry heavenly authority. Every time you say his name in prayer, light surrounds him, even if he is miles away. Michael says, Your son has been visited by confusion because someone around him wanted to benefit from his pain. That person will be revealed. You will know it when the truth shocks you, yet also brings peace. God will let you see clearly without needing to search. The truth will come to your door. Do not let fear guide your reaction. Remember, exposure is not punishment. It is purification. God exposes only to heal. What your son hid was not meant to destroy your love for him, but to awaken both of you to higher truth. When light enters a hidden place, it hurts at first, but then everything begins to breathe again. Heaven has seen the days when you felt something was wrong but could not explain it. The cold distance, the half answers, the moments he looked away when you asked direct questions. Yes, those were signs. He wanted to protect you from disappointment. But in doing so, he buried his own peace. God says the covering is being removed. You will soon hear him say something that you never expected him to say. Do not interrupt. Let him speak even if it hurts. Every word will be a step toward his freedom. After he finishes, tell him that God already forgave him and that you never stopped loving him. That sentence will break years of spiritual weight. Archangel Michael says, he has been near harm recently, but was saved by divine intervention. Someone tried to influence him with a decision that could have ruined his name, but heaven stepped in. You may notice sudden changes in his plans. This is divine redirection. Do not force him back to old paths. Trust that God's hand is guiding his steps. There will also be financial restoration tied to this exposure. Something that was taken or hidden through deceit will return to your family. It may come as an unexpected message, an opportunity, or even an apology from someone who wronged your son. Accept it with grace. God says, your son's destiny is still powerful. The enemy targeted him not because he was weak, but because he was chosen. Every storm he faced was proof of his calling. The pain you have endured as a parent has been sacred training for this moment. When others gave up, you prayed. When others cursed, you blessed. That is why heaven trusts you with revelation. Now, Michael says, the next 7 days are important. Each day, speak light into your home. Do not let negative words linger. Play worship, read aloud, and invite peace. Your environment must be ready for the truth that will surface. When your home vibrates with faith, it becomes a place of healing. God says, I am turning the page. The story of your son will no longer be one of hiding and shame. It will become a testimony of restoration. But before that chapter begins, the veil must lift. Do not resist it. Let it unfold. I am with you in every moment of confusion. I will give you wisdom greater than fear. You may receive a message from your son soon, something that sounds casual but carries deeper meaning. Read between the lines. You will sense that he wants to come clean. Welcome him with love. Your gentle heart will make him safe enough to tell the whole truth. Archangel Michael says, after the truth is out, there will be healing that feels supernatural. His eyes will look different, clearer, peaceful. He may even say that he feels lighter. That is what happens when a soul finally releases what was hidden. Do not worry about what others will think. This is between your family and heaven. God is using this as a generational cleansing. What ends here will not repeat in your bloodline. The chain of secrecy, guilt, and silent suffering will be broken forever. God says, I have always loved your son. Before he entered this world, I whispered his name among angels. I placed courage in his spirit and creativity in his hands. But the world tempted him to trade his identity for acceptance. That trade is being reversed now. He will rise as the person I created him to be. You will soon see him humbled but renewed. He may weep. Let him. Those tears are not weakness. They are baptism. The past is washing away. You will hold him again. Not just as your child, but as a soul reborn. Michael says, after this revelation, blessings will flow quickly. Relationships that were broken will mend. Doors that were closed will open. You will feel new joy in your home. It will not be a fleeting emotion. It will be the peace that stays. And to you, the reader of this divine message, heaven says, thank you for listening. You were chosen to receive this truth because your faith has weighed in the spiritual realm. You are not losing your son. You are gaining him back in truth. God says, I am healing what you could not touch. I am exposing what was hidden, not to shame you, but to save your legacy. Trust me, I have seen the beginning and the end. And I promise you this ends in light. Archangel Michael stands beside you now. His sword of truth burns bright, not to wound, but to cut away the lies that have trapped your family. You will feel sudden peace after reading this. That is the sign he is present. When you finish, close your eyes and say softly, I release fear and I receive light. Heaven will hear it. The angels will mark it as your agreement with divine timing. God says, your son will live. Your family will stand. Your faith will be honored. And the truth that once felt terrifying will become the very reason you rejoice.